Hello, folks.
Hi.
And I'm from Gregor as well, our special guest Gregor for today. This is another episode of Quick Dive. It's been a while. I know. I wanted to do Quick Dive episodes before, but then it kind of faded out. But I'll start doing them now, definitely. But we're gonna, restart the series with another Board Game Weekend episode, as we had the Board Game Weekend this past weekend, playing a bunch of games and having a good time. And so there was four of us in total, and two of us on Friday. So I'm not gonna talk about the games I played on Friday. I might talk about them on later episodes. Was The Witcher and the Isle of Trains, and as we played Isle of Trains a little bit wrong, I need to replay it with the right side of the cards. And so we're going to talk about the ones we played on Saturday and Sunday, as there was all four of us, especially there was Gregor, so he can chime in on those games.
Yeah.
So all right, so without further ado, I think let's just kick in and do this screen share magic and start with the first game we're going to talk about, and that's Lords of Hellas. First of all, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the game, very brief. So this is a game about the Greek mythology mixed with cyber sci-fi thing, where you are roaming around the board, trying to fight the monsters, trying to control the different territories, do the quests, build a huge monument. I'm not sure about the whole theme of this game, but yeah, you are doing various actions. You have some common actions, and then you have the special actions, which include some like the march action or recruit action, or kill the monster action, and so on. You are going on the quest, which basically you are abandoning your hero for a while to make him do the quest. Then you get a special ability. If you kill a monster, you can get some artifacts as well. You use those artifacts. The combat is based on the cards, where you just pull out the cards. You play them for some abilities, or you play them for the sheer number. Then the monster attacks if you fight the monster, and then basically you can defend from the monster. This is your usual area control game with lots of miniatures, cool looking stuff. So I don't know. Let's get to the good about Lords of Hellas. And I don't know, Gregor, why don't you start with this one?
Sure. All right. Well, the good, I think it's quite thematic, even though the theme might be a bit funny at first, Greek mythology and sci-fi, but it kind of works. And you have this epic map and all these heroes and monsters, so I think that's good. You also have a ton of options what to do, which is, I think, a good thing and a bad thing. You can choose your own path to victory, so to say. There's like 4 win conditions, I think.
Yeah, you have the monuments. You can slay monsters. You can control the lands, which are like, there's regions, there's lands, and there's the fourth one. I honestly don't remember. It was also about some control. I think the temples. Yeah, you have to control the temples.
Yeah.
So the good about this is, first of all, it's not, though I'm more of an ancient theme, not mixed with sci-fi, but this one is a refreshment on the theme. I think that's the good thing. Something new, something different. The overall looks, though I'm not the biggest fan of the map, but I think it's functional, and that's good. You have to make it functional. The combat, I do like it. You can, repel attacks. It's a card combat. It's not convoluted. It's quite easy to understand. You can you have those different artifacts, and if you get the ability, like those blessings and things, these are really cool. I like this, and yeah, that's, I don't know, just the overall looks of the game. That's what I like. Now, if we get to the next one, which is the bad, I will, continue from that. So this game, I don't know, it's as Awakened Realms is, it's kind of overproduced in my opinion. On the other hand, of course, it's totally fine that you have huge miniatures, but the game doesn't feel that epic in my opinion. And the other thing, as you said, the bad thing for me is that I don't think the 4 winning conditions is something that benefits the game, from my opinion, because in conflict-oriented games, there should be, at least in my opinion, maybe 1 or 2 things you focus on, and every player focuses on the same things, thus creating the conflict. Like, for example, you need to control those various temples, like, as I said, in Kemet, Blood and Sand. You have to control different temples as well, and attack people so you can get victory points. And those victory points, this is the main focus of the game. How you get them has a lot of variety. You can get them through technology and things, but your focus is on some 1 or 2 primary things, and it creates more tension, more combat, more of that good conflict stuff that you want to get from the conflict games.
Yeah, I feel that as well. That even though this is supposed to be like an area control game, then we played this with 4 people, and to be honest, like for pretty much the whole game, I didn't care what the other 2 people were doing on the other side of the map. I was doing my own thing, and yeah, I think that it should be more player interaction in that part.
We didn't have a lot of conflict. Like us two, we had this tension between our lands. Like you were just right next to me, but what did you do? You just went slaying monsters, and as everybody was focusing on their own thing, and 2 other players were focusing on their in between conflict. You were just going around slaying monsters, and you could try to stop. We can try to stop you, but for the sake of just stopping you, like king-making thing, disturbing the leader. I don't know. It just felt too arbitrary. It felt kind of fake. Yeah.
Yeah, and also the 4 or 5 winning conditions. Since you have so much things to do, maybe this is just the thing with playing it the first time, or maybe the second time. But like for the first half of the game, I didn't really know what to focus on or what I should do, and it just was really weird.
I think it is the matter of just playing the game more, and then you can like, so today I'm gonna build monuments. Next time I'm gonna do the temple thing and try the different strategies. This is kind of a good thing, but yet again, I don't like my focus to be divided between too many things. All right, let's get to the next game, which is Deep Rock Galactic, the board game. And this is based on the video game, same franchise. And the video game is about dwarves going into those caverns, trying to find the precious minerals, fighting off the swarms and hordes of different bugs and nasty things, and completing different missions. The missions can vary, and in the video game at least there's many different missions, many different monsters. Here in the board game, you also roam around. You get from the drop pod, you try to mine for the minerals, try to collect them, also fight off monsters. You can upgrade your weapons. You have different types of weapons, different elements of weapons, like you can have a stun or a freeze or a fire thing going on. And this is your usual kind of dungeon crawl. Go in, kill some monsters, do your mission, get out. And that's the very brief overview of Deep Rock Galactic. Now, the good about this game, in my opinion, is that though there are quite a few rules, it feels streamlined. It feels like it just goes. It feels like, you know, the line of sight is not convoluted. Again, in quite a few games, the line of sight mechanism is something that can make the game or break the game. So this one is like, if any part of your hex can touch the other part of the hex through the straight line and nothing is in the way, you see the monster, just go kill. You just roll dice, you hit things, you have some, you know, elements and things. You can, you know, you have limited ammo. That's what I like as well. As it is quite a thematic. Like in the video game, you have limited ammo, then you have to call the drop pod. I like all of that. I like how it is tied to the Deep Rock Galactic video game theme quite well, despite being just a board game, because the video game is quite dynamic. And the swarms and things, how they're getting... We just played only 2 missions, the first and second mission, which both were novice missions. But yeah, the overall looks, the progression of the mission, quite quick. Once you get the grasp of it, the first game, you're like, okay. So we played it 2 times in a row just because, like, oh, the first game, it was like, the mission was easy. It's an introduction.
It was like tutorial mission.
Yeah, and then you get in, like, and it kind of goes really fast, really dynamic. I like this approach. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, for me as well. Like, at first I was a bit scared that this is gonna be another, like, a cash grab type of game that, you know, they get a title and they just try to sell for the name of it. But I was really, really surprised, and I quite enjoyed this game. And even though at the first scenario that we did, there was a lot of looking up rules, and, you know, it was a bit, well, a lot to take in. But after that, once we got the base rules down, then it's just like,
yeah,
it went really smoothly, and it was fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. So when we get to the bad, so yeah, about the rules. So the rulebook itself, I don't think it's the best rulebook ever. I kind of struggle to go through it and struggle to find stuff. And of course, there's some FAQ, and there's always, with such games, you always have some questions that are not answered in the rulebook. But it was kind of, yeah, through the first mission, we learned the game, and we had quite a few questions. It's not because the game is not streamlined, it's just that the rulebook is not consistent in its rules, and you know, or some rules are kind of there, but they're in that wrong place, or in a small text, or in the example. Like, you have to be
or
more...
how you interpret it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And another, you know, kind of not the bad thing. There's not much bad I can say about this game, but I feel like, yeah, the first missions are maybe too easy, though you can make it harder by increasing the hazard level. So this is not really an issue. And for the first game only, you might be a little bit confused. If you have the deluxe version, you have the miniatures, you might be a little bit confused who's who. Like,
Yeah.
for example, with the gnomes or dwarves, for example, usually in such games you have the bases that are colored bases for each miniature. You get used to it pretty quickly. But for example, there was like the scout, I think, and the engineer.
Yeah.
I kind of like, oh, this is the scout or engineer, because the driller has the huge drills and the gunner has the huge gun. You know, it's easy. So that's that, and some of the aliens or whatever sort of bugs. Also, for the first game, I feel like it's hard to distinguish the modes with some of the bugs, but it's for the first 1 or 2 games only. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, there's not a lot bad I can say about it. the same points that you brought up, that for the first game or two, it might be hard to distinguish either one player from another or the monsters from each other. But like after one game, you got it down. And other than that, I think not a lot bad to be said about this game.
Yeah, maybe I would have loved to have a little bit more customization. I mean, I know that like in the video game as well, for it to be very well balanced, you cannot just throw in all the different kinds of hundreds of weapons because it might be imbalanced. And this is very well balanced. We have played with as a 4-player game with a full count with all 4 different classes represented. But maybe for the future it's not really that bad, but I'm hoping like there's 2 new expansions that they will add some kind of other stuff and maybe some more progression. And as I heard, they will add some progression thing going on, which is like in the video game you have this level up and promotions and things. Maybe it will be in those new expansions. That's what I would love to see. Even
but
more
at the same time, I kind of like it that it's a scenario-based game, that you don't have to start a campaign to play this. You can just pick it up with friends and just play it and not worry about upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So let's get to the next game, which is Camel Up off-season. And so to not... so basically there's Camel Up with the 2nd edition. Off-season is kind of related to Camel Up through the theme or the universe.
Yeah, the same universe.
But it's not really the Camel Up. So Camel Up is it's not a race game, but it's a betting game where camels race each other. In this one, you are in those stalls, market stalls. You are bidding on those market stalls with goods, some of them face down, some of them face up. And as you get those stalls, they have some small abilities that you can exchange cards, or add cards and something like that. But you're trying to get the different collections of cards. But you also have this board in front of you, which has the numbers on camels. So you have 4 camels, and each camel can only carry a certain amount of those goods. So you're trying to figure out, should I collect the pottery with the camel that can only carry 4 items, or should I collect the fruits that the camel can only carry like 6 items and so on? It's because when you get the cards, and some of them, as I said, are face up and face down, you have to place all of those cards into your board. And if you don't have enough room on your camel, once you, like, let's say I started collecting those, this pottery on this camel, and if I go beyond the limit of the camel, I'm bust. And then I have to discard all of those cards. And the other thing is that you bid with the money, which is also victory points. So you are kind of bidding with the victory points. And you are, you're bidding, you're trying to get the cards, trying to get those set collections, then sell them off for even more money, which is points. And then whoever has the most points will be the winner of the game. So let's get to the good. Now, I really like the simple mechanism of bidding in this one. It works. I like the tension between the open cards, face up cards, and face down cards. I always like things that are face down in board games. Like, for example, if there's it feels to me like exploration. If I go somewhere, I turn over the tile and see what happens on that tile. Same here. I'm like, okay, so should I risk and take all of those 5 cards, though 3 of those cards are face down? I might bust on the pottery, but if I'm really lucky, I will sell it and get 17 points, whatever, I really like this tension in your head. And the other thing is the simplicity of the turns. You just bid, you get something. The good part is that when you bid something, only the winner gets to discard their money. All the losers get the money back. Great. It's not too much risk. And the game goes really quick. So, yeah, and set collection is rather easy. I don't know, just a quick family weight game. That's a good thing about it.
Yeah, I
What do you feel?
feel the same way. It was nice. I loved the player interaction. It was you weren't waiting for other people's turns. You were always invested in what others were doing, whether or not they were taking risks. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Also, there is some risk taking, but I didn't feel like I was forced to risk. Like either I risk or and lose it all, or win it all, or I lose the game. So that was nice. Yeah, I think all in all, a great family game that isn't
yeah,
too hard to learn.
yeah. I think like when you bust it, like, oh well, I busted. Yeah, I risked,
Yeah,
or I should have bet a higher sum on the bidding turn so I could choose myself first and etc.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
As
not like you didn't have anything to do against that, so you don't feel you know that it was probably your fault
yeah, pushing the luck kind of
at some
thing.
point. Yeah.
So what is bad about this game? What do you feel? What do you
Well,
think?
personally, I think for me, for some reason, I think the weakest part was the bidding. There's like based
Hmm.
on the card in the like on top of the card stack, it changes the bidding rules somewhat, but in reality, I didn't feel like it really changed a lot or anything. Um,
Yeah.
and also
It,
since only the bid winner loses the money, then I felt like that was also a bit funny because either I risk a lot of money or I don't lose anything. Like it was just a bit funny for me. Um,
hmm I
so
yeah, I
yeah,
do agree that it's like it's a good thing. Like with some games, as I played, it's a good thing because you can feel really frustrated if somebody bid 10, you bid 9,
yeah, true.
and if you get much less because of that, but you only bid one coin less and you get so much less, then it can be frustrating. That's where I it's at some point with bidding, I don't always like where games let you lose money nonetheless have you won or lost the bid itself. The other thing, yeah, as you said, I agree. Uh, the different bidding conditions is the gimmick for the sake of gimmick.
Yeah,
It, it like they try to add an extra element to make the bidding more interesting, but in some rounds it didn't feel like, oh, like for example they're like you cannot beat 2 or you cannot beat 3. Oh, but we were already at like everybody bids 10 and so on.
yeah,
Like we're not even thinking about bidding 2 or 3. Though maybe it depends on the players, but yeah, some of those didn't feel like it's necessary, and yeah, just do the bidding. That's it, and then try to innovate the rest of the game, the set collection,
yeah.
etc. I agree that it kind of, and the very small thing, the tiny thing is that I don't like those small plastic coins. They're fiddly to handle.
Mm,
We use the poker chips, but it's just, poker chips weren't the best because the screens are rather small to put them behind the screen, and to bid with the fist.
yeah,
You can kind of see if you have a bunch of poker chips in your hand, like, okay, yeah, you're a monster or
yeah,
something. But uh, this is a small thing, and the other small thing I had is that this stall, the card stall, whatever it is, it's like, let's say you sit behind the card stall,
yeah,
you still want to see what's on top of that, like the bidding rule, and then you want to see how many cards are left, so you can see how much you still have, like time for the game, kinda. I think it's like unnecessary. The good, like it's aesthetic, but it's aesthetically kind of pleasant, but it's like Everdell tree. You just it's in the way.
yeah.
It You don't need that. It's extra cost. Just throw it
Agreed.
away. Just put the two stacks next to each other, the stack and the discard pile. That's it.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to the next game, which is peak oil. So in peak oil, you are, what do you say, investors or something?
An oil magnet, I think.
Or oil magnets or something. Yeah, magnates. So you are uh, doing the tight worker placement. We're using those different workers to invest or to manipulate the barrels on the board, or to invest in the companies, or to get the oil rigs, or to get the shares for the companies, or like technologies, or to get the consultants, which are like special abilities, etc. You're trying to ship the different barrels so you can get them, the oil barrels, but you can also, you're pulling the barrels out of the bag. You can get some bad barrels, some crisis barrels that will lead you to draw the crisis cards that will give you some bad abilities and minus points. And yeah, you're trying to get to the most points with this kind of set collection with the symbols matching the current price in barrels for each technology or investor or company or whatever it is. Kind of hard for me to explain it, but I hope you kind of got the idea of what it is. So let's get to the good. Gregor, why don't you start?
I was just hoping you would start, because this game for me, it just didn't click for some reason. And like, it's an okay game, but I don't think it does anything spectacularly well, at least for me.
Yeah. So not much good.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing for me, the good thing is that the theme is different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your usual fantasy or sci-fi, whatever. The theme about investing and the kind of like economic theme, that's why I bought it initially many years ago, but then eventually didn't play after reading the rules. The theme is interesting, and the looks of the game are, unique in a way, so it's kind of good thing. If we get to the bad,
clean.
It looks clean, yes.
Yeah.
If we get to the bad, so there are there's some minor graphic things, like I like consistency graphics, but let's just skip it. You might like the game if you like, for example, Vanuatu, if somebody has played Vanuatu. The worker placement is very tight. You can get cut off. You can get kind of blocked, and then your turn is not exciting. It's very brutal. And then if somebody ships the barrels in front of you, it's still like, yet again, I just didn't have a chance. Maybe I should have prepared better, but you cannot focus on everything at once. Then the whole game, it doesn't feel dynamic. The whole game feels static, kind of doing the same thing, and kind of everybody doing the same thing. And just if you're lucky or not, if you collect the same cards with the opponent, you increase the price on the technology. I didn't feel like me increasing the price on the technology gave me a lot. I just don't know. It didn't feel. It felt boring. It didn't feel exciting. And when I know that it's kind of not completely, but kind of your choice. If you ship the barrels, you then you pick the barrels from the bag, and then if you pick those bad barrels, you just get the crisis cards. I felt like this is a cheap mechanism of, giving some bad stuff to the players. For what reason? I don't understand that. Like, I just get this bad card, and then if I'm unlucky, I get even more minus points, even more disabilities, whatever. Why? Why are you punishing me where the worker placement is already tight? That's what I didn't like about the game. I didn't feel progression, and in the end, I don't like when games give you like they punish you a lot, and then in the end, like for example, if you punish me a lot, give me a huge reward in the end, but then like I got 16 points, 1-6 points. Ooh, that's great. I won the game kind of thing. Like 16 points feels like you achieved nothing. It's just my personal thing that if you give me points, give me more points. If you want to do less points, don't do points, do the race to the certain winning condition thing. Then it works for me, kinda. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. It felt the whole game felt really strict. The worker placement is really tight, and next to that, you have the economy, the closed economy of the oil barrels. That is even more stricter and tighter, and so it just felt really weird. You need these barrels. You have only like one action per turn and one movement. And then, as you said, if you go to get barrels, which you need to do something, and someone just snatches them away from you, then you pretty much just wasted like 2 or 3 turns. And like, there's supposed to be this, well, there kind of is this market manipulation where you increase the price of technology, but
Did you
again,
feel it?
no, the economy is so tight that I absolutely didn't feel it. Like, yeah, it's just really weird.
There's not
Did
even
not work
like,
for me.
yeah, it's like if there would be a stock market, but you can only increase the prices and very slowly.
Yeah,
That's like, okay, for what reason do you have this kind of a market things and increasing prices? Then give me an opportunity to do the stock market thing, and buy or shares or sell shares and things like, just put it in the game. And the other thing, as
yeah,
you said, yeah, you only have one action, then you can reassign your workers. Now, if somebody cuts you off, all you're gonna do is reassign workers then, and not do anything on your turn, nothing exciting. Like, okay, so now as I got cut off, I need to now only reassign and do none of the actions. It's not exciting at all.
yeah. And also, like with 4 players, I felt like the time between your turns is so long, and you don't really care what other people do. So it was just like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
All right, so let's get to the next game, which is My Little Scythe. So My Little Scythe is based on Scythe. If I remember correctly, it was first a PnP customized version of a parent who did a game based on Scythe for their child, so they could kind of introduce them to Scythe and play with them, and it was like My Little Pony themed. And then James Stegmaier made the whole game, and the premise of the game is that you have 2 of your figurines, you're going around the board collecting the crystals and apples, trying to get them to the center, to the castle, but you have those different like small winning conditions, like you need to collect 8 friendship, you need to collect 8 pies, which is like a combat value, and the friendship is friendship. Yeah, then you need to collect 3 combat cards, which flying pies. It's a very cute theme, and you can fight each other. You can go on quests. Basically, just you get to this thing, which is like a quest token. You turn over the card. There's no flavor text. It just says a small thing like pie thief, and then you have like 3 options, and there's like give away 2 friendship, but then gets 2 pies or something like that, or you get the resources, but you need to give away a combat card, whatever. Like very simple choices, and yeah, there's not much. You can upgrade 2 of your actions out of 3 of the actions, and the movement action and the exchange action. I don't remember exactly what it's
yeah.
called.
The crafting or the making action.
The crafting action. So, and you always have to choose a different action from the previous you chose. There are quite a few similar. It sounds like there are quite a few similarities to Scythe, but let's get to the good. And Gregor, what can you say about this game?
Sure. I feel like this is a really sweet and cute and a good like family game to play with your kids. It's colorful. It's got a nice theme. You go and pick berries and or apples and crystals, and you earn friendship with each other. So it's a nice, not too rule heavy game to play with your kids or family. I feel
Yeah,
like.
yeah. For me, yeah. The good thing is it looks cute. You know, I like the components. It's well made for especially for a family weight or children's game. Of course, there are quite a few things that you need to learn, and the parents playing with the kids they need to show them the path or show them some how to do this or that. Go through the game with them together, but that's how they learn the game. That's like the children are the the, the bright future we have. They will get it. They will get it. It's not a hard game. It seems to be a harder game than it is. So yeah, I don't know how much good to say about the game. So let's get to the bad. Look, I don't want to shame or blame the game. It just when this game was chosen, so that we have this kind of a rule of choosing. I'm not going to explain that, but basically the game was chosen for this board game weekend. And then I asked who chose this game because like it's a children's game. Like, do we really need to, us four gamers, do we really need to lose this time or invest this time into this game? And of course, somebody said, no, it's not a children's game. It's a family game. Look, I know children are different, but it's for the parents playing with the children so they can introduce them to Scythe. It's just oversimplified idea of Scythe. It's not really like the same mechanism in a sense. It kind of is, kind of isn't. It's something like that. And for a gamer, for a grown up, for the person who plays the games all the time, this is just too simple. This is just too obvious. The choices are too obvious. The quests are boring. You collecting those things is boring. The king making can happen, and it's obvious and boring as well. Like for example, so I got to my like with the expansion it was like 5 or 6 tokens you need to put down. Like I got to my let's say 5th token, and then I need to put the 6th. And everybody's now bashing me just because otherwise I'll be really fast to end the game. It's like there will be obvious king making each game, it seems. So yeah, I cannot really recommend the game to people who seek a good game, just a good game. If the people seek a family weight game they can play with children, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way that if you want like a game to introduce your kids or your family members into board games, then maybe this is a good choice. But for me personally, I felt like it lacked the depth that I would like in a game. And so for me, it was as well a little bit like boring. But, it is a family game, so I expected that.
Yeah, it just
But
was the wrong game for the wrong crowd in the
yeah,
wrong place on the wrong time
yeah,
during
there's
wrong
nothing wrong
weekend.
with it with the game for what it is. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
for what it is. Yeah, yeah, true. I agree on that. All right, let's get to the last game, which is Planet B. So Planet B is a worker placement game and building game where you um, basically choose the various actions, choose the places you put the suitcase on, and you can do various actions, like you can grab some news cards, or you can build the buildings, or you can, you can produce resources, and you can change your production line. The buildings you build, they have the worker spots for those workers you put on, so you can activate those buildings. Eventually, the election track will just go on until it reaches the election token reaches the end of the election track. Then at the end of that turn, the election occurs, where you have, during your turns, you have accumulated some amount of vote tokens into the bag, and then you will be grabbing those tokens from the bag, trying to, pull out your color tokens, and trying to win the election. And then there will be a distribution of roles, like the president and the vice president and the llama and the dodo. And you don't want to be the dodo.
I do not.
So yeah, you build up, you use that, you try to win the elections. You're trying to just generate a lot of money, and then generate and then basically exchanges money, or exchange your money plus actions into points, and get the most points, being the greediest of politicians, kind of like that. So the good, Gregor, what's the good about the game?
So I quite enjoyed the theme. It's like this dystopian, like ironic world we're living in, and we're all corrupt politicians. And I think it got that theme over quite well. You're trying to get your clean money into points by essentially pocketing the money. And I don't know, it was just, there were a lot of small details, thematic details that I enjoyed. Didn't feel like just another Euro game or a worker placement game to me. Yeah. Also, the election part is it's like a bit gimmicky, but at the same time, it kind of adds dynamic, I feel like, into the whole game. A little like spice between players, and so I enjoyed that quite as well. And all in all, it's I'd say a really solid Euro game.
Yeah, so as you said, the worker placement and stuff. So the worker placement is like, you don't have your workers that you put out on the board. It's like a shared suitcases that you put on the board. You are kind of never blocked, and you can just do stuff as you please, except if the tile turns over. But in this game, you don't feel like you can get blocked, and in this kind of game, I feel it's a good thing, because you want to strategize. I like buildings because they give you so much good stuff. I like reading those news cards, or like looking at the pictures. It's not the prettiest game, but it's like Handsome Gluck. What they do about Euro games, they make well-oiled machines that are like, it's easy to understand. So it seems to be on a heavier side, but not even once, or maybe just like maybe once, because it just forgot a certain rule, or just small thing like the end game scoring, something like that. I didn't look at the rulebook. We didn't have questions about how, but really how this one works. About how this one works. The paper money, though, not a fan of paper money. It's not the thinnest, ugliest paper money. It kind of works for this game. I feel like it's a good thing. As you said, the election adds dynamics, and some people might criticize the election because they are kind of random. But on the other hand, the ones who lost the election, those votes will be there for the next elections, right in the back. Yeah. And the one who is president, he has no votes in the back for the next election phase, and he needs to build up, and it's really hard. So there's a lot of that balancing out, this randomness. I really enjoyed that. You can always upgrade your production line. You can build buildings you want. If you have enough money, just build the buildings. When you build buildings, you get points. You can, if you build a building but you don't want to use it, don't put the workers on it. You always have enough workers. You always have stuff to do. You always have some combos to create. And the humor there. I like this whole premise. I like the idea. I like how you can, just collect the resources, but you cannot really, go on with that particular resource until the end. You have 4 spots for each resource. You are limited in smart ways and kinda free to go in other ways. And yeah, lots of things going on. I wouldn't say it's extremely thematic, but yeah, like well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So, what's bad about the game? The bad, Gregor.
Um. Well, I think for some people, the main thing might be the election. That they feel it's a bit too RNG for their taste. For this kind of Euro game,
Hmm.
for there to be chance in it. I personally didn't mind it. I thought it was like raise the stakes and it was funnier this way. But I can see how some people would not enjoy that. And also, since this
Yeah,
is a bit like of a heavier Euro game, then the last turns will be can take quite long, and there's quite a lot of min maxing in the end. But well, that's the case with any Euro game, really.
kinda. Yeah. So this game is prone to AP. The turns can last longer for those players who are themselves AP prone. So I never want to blame just the players and just the game. I always blame both. The game creates for you the chance to be to have this AP, and if you are the player who wants to get the best combo ever, then you will be prone to that, and that will prolong the game. And the bad thing is that this game just is too long. Maybe with 2 players, it's because it's a shared worker placement thing. Then maybe like 2 players might work well, but the election with 2 players, like with 4 players, the election is much more fun. I
Yeah.
think we played 3-player game. The election was also fine, but like with less players, you have those dummy election things, and I don't really like dummy players in games. So I feel like this game plays well with 4, but takes too long. It's a little bit too long of a game. It should be less rounds or something like that. I just feel like it should be a little bit faster. One other thing is that the humor on the cards. Look, at first it's a good thing, but I think it's just my prediction that the more I play it, the less I will be pointing out that humor on the cards and those details. Once I, ha ha ha, you laugh the first time, you laugh the second time, and then the third time, like, okay, whatever. And once I think you forget about this, or you get bored by this humor, it takes away from the theme a little bit. It might be the case with this game. I'm not saying it is, but I'm afraid it will be eventually if I play the game more. As the humor fades away, the theme of the game fades away from me, and thus, it will be a little bit too mechanical in a sense. And the other thing, as I said, the paper money is a little bit more solid than the usual paper money, like for example from Monopoly or something like that. But it's still paper money. I would have preferred maybe like Stockpile has those cards quite thick, like the card stock, which is really good. I would have preferred the card stack money, and maybe just victory chit points, which can be also one-sided, and then you turn them more. Nobody knows, like victory points as separate kits. And that this game is a bit expensive, but Hans and Luke and Z-Man, they have this cooperation where the game is, I think, too expensive. Always, the games are always a little bit too expensive, but the prices are rising again. So I don't know. I don't want to say much bad about the game. I'm just digging here, trying to find the bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some issues that I have with this game. Like if I start comparing to Underwater Cities, etc., which also takes long. Underwater Cities feels even more broad and dynamic and a better game, in my opinion. But this one kind of scratches the same itch for me. So I'm not sure if I will leave it in the collection. We'll see.
Yeah, but I can definitely agree that like once that there is the possibility that once the novelty wears off, then you probably want another, something else or like a
Yeah.
bigger arrow.
All right, so here we are with those games, the 6 of them, the overviews, the good and the bad, and just a quick thought on the biggest surprise. So out of those 6 games, and it's I mean, there's not much to choose from,
Yeah.
and we're gonna talk about the worst game and the best game, and the biggest surprise can be also the best game. So, but what's your biggest surprise?
For me, I think it's gotta be like Deep Rock Galactic. I
Hmm.
didn't expect to enjoy it as much. Uh,
Okay.
so yeah, I
Yeah.
really did enjoy that.
Hmm.
What about
For
you?
me, I think it's Camel Up off season.
Mm-hmm.
Though, like Deep Rock Galactic, I learned a little bit about the game, so I read the rules. I bought the game, so the surprise value is less for me because if I would have like, let's say, I come to your place and then you show me the game, I've never heard about that, and then like ooh, and then really love it. That would be surprise. But as I learned it beforehand, I bought it. I made this decision. I kind of couldn't be
True. True.
surprised that much. Though
True.
I was a little bit surprised that it was that well implemented theme. But yeah, I think Camel Up off season surprised me because I felt like they made another game in Camel Up universe that will probably be not that good. Like what's like it's Camel Up? Is it like a sequel? It's like I didn't know much about it, but then the
Yeah.
set collection and everything, like you were always engaged. No one
Yeah.
of us was in the looking at their phone or something like that. You were always like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." It's just so fast. It was such a great surprise for me as a game.
Absolutely. It's definitely like up there contending for me as well. Uh,
All right. So the worst game, and I think the worst game
for
for
both of
both
us,
of
I think
us
was
is
Peak Oil.
is Peak Oil. Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
just didn't scratch that itch. Didn't really deliver this theme that much for me. It was too tight, was too brutal, and the end wasn't satisfying. I mean, like it just didn't work for me at all.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
I know people who also like it's not that well received game as well. And Kyle, the other host of the show, I told him that we played Pico and was like, oh, this is very boring game. He was like, he also doesn't like this game at all. All right, and the best game. So it might be the same as the surprise. Mine is not the same as the surprise. Is yours?
Mm. I think it's gonna be, yeah, or at
So
least
it's
like the top contender. So for me, yeah, it's either like Deep Rock Galactic or Planet B, I think.
mm-hmm. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, yeah. For me, I think Deep Rock Galactic it was the best game, probably
mhm.
because first of all we played it 2 times in a row, and it kind of felt really engaging, and this integration of theme that I like. I really enjoyed the video game. It kind of added to it.
Yeah,
With
absolutely.
with Planet B, it was the last game we played. I was a little bit tired already, and it took long time. I mean, like Planet B is a great game. That the one that I already played before, so I knew it's a great game. So yeah, probably Deep
Yeah.
Rock Galactic would be number one. Planet B would be like number two, and then Camel Up as number three. All the other ones, we can throw away. Not my games.
Mm.
I managed
Yeah.
to talk about like yeah, mostly my games, but that's what I chose for my collection. I was confident about it, and it delivered. All
Yeah.
right,
I agree.
so here we are with this episode, quick dive. We're gonna return Gregor might return for the next time or any other time. I'm gonna try to do at most 3 games in quick dive. Talk about 3 games briefly in the same format, without, of course, the biggest surprise and the best game, of course. But maybe something like that. Anyway, I hope this was a tiny bit informative, and check out the games. Maybe you like those that we didn't like. Maybe you want to say that. What?
Maybe you'll enjoy Pico.
Yeah, maybe you say that. Yeah, that's the way the game should be played. That's the way the game should be made, and you're wrong. You people suck at games.
Yeah, which is totally fine.
Yeah, totally fine for anything. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.